USDA supply-demand report offered what looked like a bullish surprise for corn, but traders barely reacted. Jim McCormick of AgMarket.net joined us on our weekly market roundup program. He says USDA raised corn exports by 100 million bushels and cut ending stocks accordingly.
Corn number was definitely a little bit of a bullish surprise, Steve. They raised export demand by 100 million, and the export pace, no doubt about it, has been on fire. So there is 100% justification for them to do it. But what was really disappointing is we got absolutely zero traction from the market.
McCormick says traders are skeptical of the large feed and residual number, which he believes may eventually be reduced, potentially boosting carryout later this year. Wheat, meanwhile, may be carving out a bottom. Brian Splitt says global production increases have finally slowed.
The wheat market could be a sleeper here and could go a long way to help the corn market if we could get a little bit of a rally coming out of dormancy. So we'll see how that pans out, but pretty strong moves for wheat after the report this week.
On soybeans, politics may matter more than price. With Brazilian beans cheaper, McCormick says Chinese buying would likely be tied to tariff negotiations, not market economics. Looking ahead, analysts expect USDA's Outlook Forum to peg corn acres at around 95 to 96 million. With trendline yields, that could mean ample supply unless weather intervenes. And there's much more where that came from. It's called the Weekly Market Roundup. You can watch the full program at ruralradionetwork.com and find it on our YouTube channel. I'm Steve White.
Growers have spoken, and they're raving about Storin corn herbicide. We surveyed over 1,000 customers who've made the switch to Storin, and 99% said they'd recommend it to a friend. That's right, 99%. With a 9 out of 10 satisfaction rating, it's clear why Storin is the herbicide customers can count on. But don't just take our word for it. Ask your Syngenta retailer or visit StorinReviews.com to read testimonials from Storin users near you. Always read and follow label instructions.
Planting early can push your soybean yield, but it also brings more weed pressure. This year, choose a crop-safe solution that holds back weeds, not your beans. With Tendovo pre-emergence herbicide, you'll get long-lasting residual control, stronger stands, and faster canopy closure. So your soybeans can surge all season. And on the yield monitor at harvest. Ask your retailer for Tendovo today. Always read and follow label instructions.
Reporting for the Rural Radio Network, I'm Steve White. A big day at the state capitol shaping up Tuesday as the brand debate comes to the legislature. We discussed that on the most recent episode of Inside the Unicameral.
As I mentioned, some important discussions will be on tap here over the next couple of days, and it starts off with a contentious issue in the cattle industry, one we've talked about, the brand.
The brand. How do we modernize brand law in Nebraska? If we could solve that problem, gosh, if we could just take care of that one, of property taxes, all the problems would be solved, right, Bryce?
It's not that easy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it is not. So
context is important because what's being introduced right now, that's going to be debated.
Right. So what has been introduced, the one that there's some emphasis on, some folks seem to be kind of coalescing around, is the one that would essentially do away with the brand committee as we know it. It would then move that function to the State Department of Agriculture. Now, you talk to some people and they say, no, Steve, that's not what's happening. And Senator Teresa Ibaugh stopped me and said, we're not eliminating the brand committee, we'd just be moving it. Well, I don't know if that's semantics or not, but it would no longer be mandatory. It would be voluntary statewide, and those functions would move, as mentioned, under the auspices of the Nebraska Department of Agriculture, and thus eliminate that standalone agency, which we've had for a lot of years, a lot of tradition. So certainly other folks like State Senator Tanya Sword that we mentioned a moment ago, she says this is taking a sledgehammer to the brand law. This is a non-starter. No, we don't want anything to do with this.
Okay, so that committee hearing is on Tuesday. I certainly expect some passionate testimony on both sides because we've seen that last year.
Yeah, we certainly know. This is a really tough one when we talked about trying to kind of thread the needle on this one. What can we do that just is narrowly defined, that works across all sectors?
That hearing scheduled Tuesday afternoon at the state capitol.